Intelligence that has been declassified and released is irrefutable. I'm going to let Karoline speak to Secretary Rubio.
I'll speak to both questions. First, on Secretary Rubio, he put out a statement in 2020 following that Senate Intelligence Committee report, and he said what they found is troubling. We found irrefutable evidence of Russian meddling, which the Director of National Intelligence just confirmed for all of you, that Russia was trying to sow distrust and chaos. But what's the outrage in this that Secretary Rubio did not say at the time, the Democrats were saying at the time, is the fact that the intelligence community was concocting this narrative that the president colluded with the Russians, that the president's son was holding secret meetings with the Russians. All of these lies that were never true.
Hey folks, buckle up for this one because trust me, it's intense. Have you ever seen a live TV moment so raw it leaves you breathless? Well, in a recent explosive White House press briefing, Karoline Leavitt delivered exactly that when she went head-to-head with CNN's Kaitlan Collins.
First, I want to correct something that you stated, which was citing the Senate Intelligence Committee's report as being one and the same. I think you said the intelligence community. The Senate Intelligence Committee has a very different function than the Office of the Director of National.
Can you even imagine? This wasn't just a Q&A. It was a full-blown eruption. Feud reignited. What began as a simmering exchange quickly boiled over into volcanic territory. Kaitlan Collins, never one to shy away from provocative questions, came ready to challenge the Trump administration. But Karoline, known for turning criticism into clarity, stood her ground. Right there, live in front of millions, she flipped the spotlight back on the media's long-peddled myths, especially the narrative around Russian collusion.
Also said at that time, we discovered deeply troubling actions taken by the FBI under Comey, particularly their acceptance and willingness to rely on the Steele dossier without verifying its methodology or sourcing. The Steele dossier that many outlets in this room ran as the gospel truth, and it was cooked up and paid for by the Clinton campaign.
This wasn't just another press briefing. It was a battle of wits. A tug of war over truth versus narrative. An electrifying moment that exposed the raw hostility between the press and political figures.
Intelligence that has been declassified and released is irrefutable. I'm going to let Karoline speak to Secretary Rubio.
I'll speak to both questions. First, on Secretary Rubio, he put out a statement in 2020 following that Senate Intelligence Committee report, and he said what they found is troubling. We found irrefutable evidence of Russian meddling, which the Director of National Intelligence just confirmed for all of you, that Russia was trying to sow distrust and chaos. But what's the outrage in this that Secretary Rubio did not say at the time, the Democrats were saying at the time, is the fact that the intelligence community was concocting this narrative that the president colluded with the Russians, that the president's son was holding secret meetings with the Russians. All of these lies that were...
And all of us. We were front row spectators in a historic clash. These are the moments you can't afford to miss. And you don't have to. Hit that subscribe button right now. Your support helps keep these truth bombs coming. Alright, let's jump straight into the main event. The showdown begins, where Karoline Leavitt, a seasoned communications powerhouse, took on CNN's relentless Kaitlan Collins.
The president said yesterday that Obama committed treason. Do you or the White House believe that the Supreme Court's immunity decision protects Obama from prosecution?
Look, I can speak to the president's feelings on this matter. He spoke to all of you yesterday in the Oval Office, but I also spoke to him about this morning. And he wants to see all those who perpetuated this fraud against our country, who betrayed our country and the Constitution, to be thoroughly investigated and held accountable. And it's been 10 years of this. And I would just add, based on everything the director has said and declassified, all of you in this room should go through it and take a look at this report and review the intelligence, because unfortunately that hasn't happened. And many of the people who perpetuated this hoax, Clapper, Andy McCabe, James Comey, and many others, have been hired by major networks in this room to go on television and continue to spew these lies, knowing that
this wasn't just about answering tough questions. It was about calling out inaccuracies, whether intentional or not. Let's start with Kaitlan's grilling. Known for her sharp prosecutorial style, Kaitlan went in swinging, hammering on Russian collusion. She pushed claims based on outdated intelligence reports, determined to challenge the prevailing narrative. But Karoline came locked and loaded. Every answer showcased not just a mastery of facts, but a willingness to challenge the faulty premises themselves. She didn't deflect, she dismantled.
I will just answer your question directly. I am with the President of the United States every day. He has the utmost confidence in Director Gabbard. He always has. He continues to. And that is true of his entire cabinet, who is all working as one team to deliver on the promises.
And that's when things got really interesting. Kaitlan began pressing on the timing of certain document releases, implying a political stunt. But Karoline intercepted fast, bringing the discussion back to facts, not theories.
Out that the documents revealed that the Obama administration did not publish the December 2016 presidential daily briefing that demonstrated that Russia did not steal the election. Trump was receiving these briefings at the time because he was president-elect. Are you of the view that that information was kept out of the briefing because then President-elect Donald Trump would have seen it?
I don't have any documents that speak to exactly what the new guidance was that was given as the reason for pulling that document, which, by the way, still has never been published until we released it last week, Friday. One could assume that they didn't want President Trump to see a document that came from the intelligence community that would contradict the Russia hoax narrative that began through the Hillary Clinton campaign.
When Kaitlan tried to weave in Marco Rubio's past statements as supposed proof of collusion, Karoline wasn't having it. She shut it down immediately. Karoline's reframing was masterful. She didn't just deny, she redirected. She illuminated how the media had long spun vague claims into elaborate conspiracies, turning internal disagreements into imagined foreign plots.
If you all recall, just flashback to 2016 and the years after, the entire Trump 1 presidency was embroiled in this scandal that was perpetuated by the Democrat Party. And you had major Democrat Party officials in this city, namely Adam Schiff, Hillary Clinton, Elizabeth Warren, who went on television and told the American people, Donald Trump is an asset of Russia. It was a lie. They always knew it. Hillary Clinton herself said that President Trump would be a puppet for Putin. Senator Tim Kaine at the time called President Trump Vladimir Putin's defense lawyer. Adam Schiff stated, and one of the worst things a lawmaker can do is to tell the American people, I know something you don't know, it's just classified and I can't tell you. And that's what he said. I can tell you that the case is more than that. I can't go into the particulars, but there is more than circumstantial evidence now. And not enough people in this room, not enough journalists in this country pushed Adam Schiff to say, what are you talking about? What evidence do you have?
Now, if you join me on this deep dive, Karoline then took it one step further by emphasizing how, over the years, narratives about Russian involvement had been misrepresented as collusion.
And then the deep dive. Karoline dug into how narratives around Russian involvement were exaggerated into full-blown accusations of collusion. She didn't just argue with Kaitlan. She challenged the media's role in muddying public perception. Then came the Steele dossier clash. Remember that infamous document paraded as evidence for years? Karoline torched it, calling out major networks for running with unverified content. Kaitlan was visibly stunned. This was Karoline flipping the script, turning a press briefing into a referendum on media credibility. She drew a sharp line between reporting and storytelling, arguing that careless amplification of weak sources had real-world consequences.
As for your second question, Kaitlan, I think, who is saying that she would release this to try to boost her standing with the president? Who has said that?
Well, the president has publicly undermined her when it came to Iran. He said she was wrong. He told me that she didn't know what she was talking about. That was on Air Force One on camera.
The only people who are suggesting that the Director of National Intelligence would release evidence to try to boost her standing with the president are the people in this room who constantly try to sow distrust and chaos amongst the president's cabinet. And it is not.
And it didn't stop there. Karoline went deeper, challenging not just the media but the political machinery behind these narratives. She called out how power dynamics are often shaped by those who control the storyline. Kaitlan tried to press again, this time about the motives behind intelligence leaks. But Karoline dodged the trap with finesse. She wasn't denying the value of inquiry. She was demanding that inquiry be rooted in truth, not speculation. It was like she was saying, let's focus on what is, not what if, the tension, palpable. Every time Karoline hit back against media fabrications, the room sparked with electricity. She wasn't just rejecting the media's version of events. She was demanding accountability. She even called out names. Adam Schiff, Hillary Clinton, reminding everyone how political figures had made sweeping claims without evidence, leaving chaos in their wake. And the press corps? Their faces said it all: shock, disbelief, silence. Karoline wasn't just talking to Kaitlan. She was talking to all of them. Where was the journalistic rigor? Where was the skepticism when it mattered? By the time Kaitlan Collins tried to regain footing, Karoline had already turned the tide. It wasn't about spin. It wasn't about spectacle. It was about truth. And in that room, truth hit like a wrecking ball.